Thank you for joining me today. I am so happy you are here. If we haven't met, I'm Avonlea, a certified nutritionist, a habit coach, and a future clinical mental health therapist. Today, we are going to talk about 3 ways that high-achieving women can hack psychology to form habits and live the life they truly want. These 3 hacks are going to help you to rewire your brain, tune into your neuropathology, stay away from dopamine deficits, and learn how to build habits that stick from a psychological level. Hack number 1, we're talking about dopamine and the reward center of the brain. So dopamine, you've maybe heard it before, is the feel-good chemical in the brain. You usually feel this chemical when doing something you really enjoy. Maybe that's shopping or the smell of fresh bread or when your crush says hi to you in the hallway. These are all examples of when dopamine hits the brain and you just feel good. So we want to use this feeling to our advantage when we are creating habits and accomplishing our goals. Except for in our world today, it makes it really difficult because we are constantly hit with dopamine, especially with social media and doom scrolling. So when you are scrolling on social media or doom scrolling news or any other online resource, your brain is consistently releasing dopamine. So you're feeling so good. But then when you stop your scroll or you get off your phone, you have this crash, and it's a big crash. It's a dopamine crash, and it actually puts you in what's called a dopamine deficit. So then you crave more dopamine. And what do? You turn right back to your phone and you keep scrolling social media. This could happen with retail therapy as well. If you're shopping online, you're seeing cute clothes that you really like, you're putting them in your cart, you're saving them for later, and then you get off your phone and you have a crash. And you're like, I want to keep shopping. And it's fun. Same thing with Netflix and movies and shows. These type of technological activities just are constantly releasing dopamine. So when we stop, we have a crash. Okay, so our dopamine is constantly doing this when we're, doing such activities. So it goes up and then crash. And this is where you're uncomfortable, it's hard, you don't like it, so you crave more dopamine. Okay? Contrary to that, when you intentionally do something maybe more difficult or uncomfortable, hard, challenging, you're starting here. And when you do it, your dopamine climbs slowly and then it stays. So when you do something like exercise, sometimes it's uncomfortable, you don't really want to do it, but you kind of push yourself. So you intentionally put yourself in the, crash, if you will, or the hard spot. So then you have to go up from there. But then once you do the hard thing, then you have the dopamine high and you feel so good. That's why when you exercise, you hate it in the moment and then you feel so good after. And if you do it consistently, then you want to keep exercising. You're like, I felt really good last time. I want to exercise again. So that's how you can hack your brain. You can recognize this dopamine pattern and be very intentional about doing the uncomfortable, more challenging, or difficult tasks, because it's going to keep your dopamine up here and it's gonna feel so good and it's gonna make your habits a lot more sustainable. So then your brain starts to associate discomfort with reward. So it starts to say, okay, you did this thing, it was hard, it took more effort, but then you got this great reward and it stayed and it was so fun. And so your brain goes, I want more of that, okay? So that's how you're going to crave your habits. Crave healthy habits. Okay, psychological hack number 2 is putting identity over outcome. So in your brain, you have something called the basal ganglia, and it's the part of your brain that's responsible for automatic behaviors. Your cognitive belief system constantly tells this part of the brain what behaviors or actions to take. And then because they are part of your cognitive belief system, you're gonna do them consistently and they become automatic. However, when what we're doing automatically and on autopilot doesn't match with what we want or what our true identity is, then there's cognitive dissonance. And there's this back and forth pull of what the brain is experiencing and what the brain is believing. So in order to really make habits sustainable, you have to make sure those two are aligned. And it comes from focusing on the identity instead of the outcome. So usually when we're goal setting, we say, I want to run a marathon. And then we train for the marathon. But in our brain, our cognitive belief system, because we are so focused on the outcome, we're still thinking, well, this is really hard, it's gonna take a long time, right? We have these limiting beliefs. And so in order to really form a habit, we have to ground it in our identity. So instead of focusing on wanting to achieve running a marathon, you want to become a marathon runner. You want to become athlete or whatever, you want to be. And that helps the brain to close the gap between what it's experiencing and what it's believing. So you want to make sure the two are aligned, because when you focus on identity and those, different characteristics that you're striving to emulate, the behaviors that result from that identity are going to become automatic, and it's going to make the habit creation process a lot more efficient and sustainable. So focus on being instead of doing, becoming instead of achieving, because every small action is a vote for your identity. So you've got to make sure that those are aligned or the brain's going to go crazy. Okay, psychological hack number 3 is visualization. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, I've heard this a million times. But let me talk about the psychology behind it. Your brain does not know the difference between something made up or imaginary and something that is real. Okay, so when you visualize who you want to become, or the actions you want to take, or the thing you want to achieve, if you do it consistently, your brain really starts to believe that that's your reality. And then in the last hack, right, we talked about those automatic behaviors. Your brain, because it says, this is what's happening, it must be reality, she must like that, and so we're going to create more and more of those experiences. So it really is down to the science. Like, your brain does not understand the difference. And so use that to your advantage and visualize and practice affirmations, express gratitude, and your visualization and ideas will become your reality. You've maybe heard the examples of Olympic athletes who will visualize their performance before the big day, and they really train their minds for success, and it really works. So that's something that you can use to really hack your brain into creating the habits and creating your dream life and doing everything that you've ever wanted to do. Visualize it first, because what you think about, you bring about, and what you believe, you achieve. So to recap, the 3 ways that you are going to psychologically hack your brain to get everything you want out of life are: 1, do something that takes more effort and is a little bit more challenging to get that dopamine reward. 2, focus on identity over outcome. And 3, visualize and imagine the life you want, because your brain can't tell the difference. Okay, I hope that helped. I'm so excited for you to use these hacks and create your dream life, and I'll see you next time.